All right, I'm here with match number 2 with 8cast. We are on the play. Let's go ahead and get things started. We're in the unknown. Right away, we can see this hand has no lands. I typically do not keep 0 landers with this deck. It is just a recipe for disaster. Hand number 2 looks fantastic. Love the looks of this one. Even Force of Will back up. How do you like that? Opponent mulligans to 6 cards. I'm going to keep my hand. I like it. And I think I'm just going to put back one of the baubles, to be honest. If we wanted to be really risky, we could put back Seep. But yeah, I just think I'm going to put back Mishra's Bauble. And we'll likely upkeep Bauble them. Always good to play around Grief if you can, since that's such a common one right now. Some argument to maybe waiting, potentially top decking a second Patchwork Automaton. I value the extra card a little bit more. It reveals Verdant Catacombs, which tells me absolutely nothing. There it is. Black green for Dryad Arbor. Anytime you see Zenith for 0, it means Dryad Arbor. We'll let that resolve. Don't care about fighting over Dryad Arbor. What we do care about is Collector Roof, which we will 100% fight over. Pick and choose your battles. Certain cards we care about and certain cards we don't care about. One surefire way to get hosed with this deck is to counter something that's not necessary. All right, let's see. We have potential Kappa the following turn. Now I'm just going to play Pithing Needle. Now we can name Wasteland or Grist. There's a few other cards. There's the Sacrifice Creature. I think I'm just going to go ahead and name Grist, honestly. Unsure if they even play Wasteland. I can't even remember. I don't think they do, actually, because they're a pretty greedy mana-based deck. They like to play Gaia's Cradle and stuff like that. Could have also named the elf that goes and finds lands, but Grist is their next play, more than likely. So they'll probably just go for something else unless they want to go ahead and Green Sun Zenith for 2, in which case we'll Force of Will it. Veteran Explorer, huh? Wonder if they're playing like Fit or something. Part of me kind of wants to counter this. I don't know why. Guess I'll let it resolve. Sort of annoying. Free blocker. Coming to play tapped, right? Oh, no, they don't. Well, either way, I'm going to cast Cap this turn anyway. So I have no guarantee that my opponent's going to block. But if they do, it ramps them anyway. So we're just going to hold off on the attack. I wonder if they're playing like Depths or something. I'm going to show my lack of legacy knowledge at this point. Alright, they found their second land. Orcish Bowmasters. Do I even care about Bowmasters at this point? I guess for tempo reasons, go ahead and force this. Because now, to be honest with you, not really much I care about. You know, I guess maybe I should be fearful of what they could possibly get off of this Veteran Explorer. That's a good draw. I'll go ahead and play this, and I actually think I'm just going to attack with Kappa Cannoneer, to be honest. I don't think I'm going to attack with Patchwork Automaton. So they can block and get their lands. Kind of a weird game. But if I do end up drawing, you know, Shadow Spear, obviously I can hook up a Patchwork with it, and that'll be lethal. This is well, that's a blocker if I ever saw one. This is an unblockable Kappa. This is the best card in the deck. No card has ended more games in 8cast than Kappa Cannoneer. We're going to upkeep. I don't know what my opponent is playing, obviously, so we're going to draw a land. Have Natural Order, I suppose. So let's draw a card and remove, destroy enchantment, remove 3 counters. Okay. First Strike and Death Touch is huge, though. Hardcast Once Upon a Time, sure. We're very likely to hit another artifact next turn to give Kappa Cannoneer unblockable. But I have missed before on like a double draw, so it's not a guarantee. Thought about attacking for a second there. We know they don't have Bowmasters because they tapped their just need an artifact. My opponent's playing like Nick Fit, basically. Playing Jund, and I'm going to have to look up their deck list because I have no idea what this deck list looks like anymore. I'm sure it consists of some number of like Tarmogoyfs and Grist and maybe like a Singleton Questing Beast and some Thoughtseizes and any other random cards you can fit in a Jund deck. That'll do it. Alright. We're very likely to hit an artifact there anyway. I don't really have a I don't really have a sideboard notes for Nick Fit. I don't. Let's see if I can find something here. These decks are really cool. They've just never been super duper optimal. Obviously, like any BGX deck, they can, you know, they can spike an event here and there, but they just, it's a tough sell to not run blue in Legacy. You have to be doing something usually pretty busted, and Nickvid is quite literally just playing fair Magic. So yeah, tough to sell people on that. All right, so looking at lists, I see a lot of Graveyard Hate. I see some Pyroblast. Of course, I see the main deck Collector Roof, which we knew they were playing. Looking at my opponent's list, I can tell you that they are not super soft to Chalice the Void. That's one thing right away I look at and I say, okay, how soft is my opponent Chalice the Void? The answer is not really. Have one drops, but there's not a ton of them. They also play Abrupt Decay and stuff like that. So I'm just actually going to board out my Chalice in this matchup. The other thing I can tell you is that they are not running any enchantments really, except for Pernicious Deed, which is a very scary card, and Sylvan Library. I can tell you that Pernicious Deed is usually going to get activated the turn our opponent plays it. I doubt they'll bring in Leyline of the Void. They have that too, though. I'm actually going to bring in Force of Negation, and they're playing enough creatures as well as Collector Roof. Anytime I see Collector Roof, that Dismember's coming in. Things to take out here. So they are playing Bowmasters and their list, even though the one I'm referencing does not have it. Thinking about what to take out here, they play a lot of Planeswalkers. Their creatures are pretty insignificant at best. I think I'll go ahead and take out that Aether Spellbomb. Grafdigger's Cage is generally one that I would love against any deck playing Green Sun Zenith. Grafdigger's Cage is a nombo with Emry. So we do have to keep that in mind. I think with that, I will probably just go ahead and cut all of my Emrys, bring that Spellbomb back in, and just go ahead and bring in the Crucible World because this is a grindier matchup. Alternatively, we could have also just brought in a couple of Chalice of the Void, maybe even the Miser's Chalice of the Void. Sometimes I'll do that. This hand is a keep. It's a little slow, but I do love Urza Saga follow-up with Ancient Tomb, one of my favorite starts. Okay. And I will just go ahead and run my Lotus Petals out here. That means I can hardcast Force of Negation if I absolutely need to, and I don't have to waste my Thought Monitor. Collector Roof. That is so rude to just start on that Collector Roof like that. Okay, yeah, deal. There's no setup required. The one of. Good news is, Urza Saga don't give a shit about Collector Roof, just to maximize the value that I'm getting off of Urza Saga. Of course, I'm not playing the second one. If they play a Grist here, it's getting... Alright, that's not a Grist. No attack. Darn. My ruse. Well, there's Force of Will right on time. And we can't activate artifacts, but we can get a Grafdigger's Cage to go ahead and shut off the potential for Green Sun Zenith. If Blissa connects, she will destroy an enchantment. Playing Urza Saga is a bit of a pointless endeavor because she could potentially just attack and kill it. So I think what I'm going to do, can't activate this if I play it, unfortunately. So I actually don't have blue mana. I guess this does force the attack, and we can just simply chump block and then attack back and sort of start that. So otherwise, there's not really much happening here. So I'll just go ahead and do this. I am kind of running the risk of getting Force of Vigored, but we have Force of Will for that, so if we need it to be. That first strike and Death Touch, man, that thing's gotta go. Not even almost, it is more significant than Collector Roof right now. Suspended or Profane Tutor, I don't know what's going on. They didn't attack with Blissa. That's crazy. I'll just grow my constructs, I guess. Keep growing them. Damn near lethal by one Alpha Strike. Sure, that's fine. It's not the Once Upon a Time I'm worried about. It's whatever they get off of the Once Upon a Time. Yeah, they can cast this because it's from exile. So, alright, so they got a Grief. This is on one. We're gonna hard cast a Grief. We're gonna Force of Will it. I will pitch the Force of Negation. It's a weird game. So I can't really attack right now, and I can't tap for blue. Play Thought Monitor, which kind of sucks. But I have these giant fucking constructs that they're simply holding back with like, literally one creature, which is aggravating. But if at any point I draw a Dismember, this game is over. Likely just going to pick up Pithing Needle here, I think, and probably name either Grist or Minskin Boo. I'm going to say Grist. Attack now. My opponent will definitely block here and will take 18 damage, and then next turn they are going to be faced with some pretty tough decisions. So I'm actually going to the cost, and I'm going to go ahead and attack and lose one of my constructs. Actually, they're going to take 16 because Glissa has First Strike Death Touch, so my one construct is going to die first. But nevertheless, that puts them to a very low life total. Alright, now we have a very weird choice to make here. We can force negation this, and then we open up ourselves to whatever they have in their hand. But if I don't force negation this and they go and get a creature, then we could potentially be in trouble. Tough choice. I think their most impactful cards are going to be non-creatures. Don't know what creature particularly gets them out of this. I feel like they're just going to go and get like a Liliana or something. So I'm just going to let this resolve, maybe against my better judgment, and we'll see what they go and get. I'm sure that's what they got. Do not cast a... Don't do it. Don't veil. That's like just as bad, actually. That's painful. So, what did we learn today, class? We learned just counter the Profane Tutor, I guess, in that situation. Truth be told, I don't know. I was more or less like thinking about Veil of Summer, but this is like quite literally just as bad in that scenario. And they're just going to sacrifice this, right? I mean, they have to. Nice Dryad Arbor, though. Probably lost the game. Yep, I'll go ahead and scoop this one up. Close, very close. Came down to that simple play at the very end there. I don't necessarily think that I'm going to change anything, although maybe next time I Pithing Needle, I'll just name Pernicious Deed just to, you know, sort of hedge against that. But, I mean, otherwise, I think I'm good. I mean, Hydroblast is some consideration, but from the lists I'm looking at, they don't play a ton of red cards. It just really just seems to be Pyroblast that they play, you know, Minskin Boo and stuff like that. So those aren't necessarily cards like I'm really super concerned about, so I'll just go with this. Very good hand, very unfair, exactly what we like to see on the play. Got a turn 1 Patchwork, of course, and we're looking at a pretty fast Thoughtcast or Thought Monitor. So this is all looking great. And opponent kept 7 as well. They do play Thoughtseize, so we have to keep that in mind. So I'm just going to go ahead and play my Mox Opal now. They also appear to play Grief, although I don't know if they're playing Reanimate. I mean, I'm pretty sure if they're playing Grief, they do. Alright, that's good. A little punished for playing that Mox Opal, huh? Well, that's 3 artifacts, so... this is one thing that I mentioned in my guide, and I'm going to go ahead and do it just as a, you know, reference so you guys can see it. But I tell people not to shortcut with these cast effects, and I guess this is a good learning method for you guys. So what I mean by that is when you're on Magic Online, you can click Thoughtcast, and it tells you how much it costs, right? That's like a shortcut. I don't have to count my artifacts or whatever. But that tells my opponent, if they're super experienced, that that I have Thoughtcast in my hand, or Thought Monitor, one or the other, because it tells them that I'm casting a spell, that I'm not casting a spell. And 8cast players do this all the time, and it tells people exactly what they have in their hand, so don't do that. Just my 2 cents. I'm actually just going to go ahead and play Sai here. Unfortunately, I should have held my Mox Opal, but I really wanted it in play. I didn't want my opponent to Thoughtseize it out of my hand, so it's on me. But luckily, they didn't have a Thoughtseize turn 1, so this is a very, very good start for us, though. Collector Oof, I'm going to go ahead and say no to that. We have 3 artifacts in place. Our Thought Monitor costs 4. We can afford that, so I will go ahead and pitch the Thoughtcast. Excellent. Now it's even cheaper. And I don't think my opponent's going to be able to beat this, to be completely honest with you guys. All right, we will go ahead and I'm actually going to take the damage from Ancient Tomb because there's a chance that I can have a bigger turn. I have access to blue mana, so I'm going to take the hit. Right, no dice on that, but you know, you always think about if you can sacrifice your artifacts or not. I am just going to go ahead and attack here with the Patchwork, and normally I wouldn't crack this for fear of Bowmasters, but in this case I actually kind of want perhaps a second blue card to be able to stop like Pernicious Deed or something like that. Looks like my opponent has a Cabal Therapy in their hand, which really doesn't do much for them, to be honest. So another Ancient Tomb is not what the doctor ordered, but we're still in pretty good shape here. Karakas is annoying, but one of the nice things about Sai is you can get the value out of Sai before Caracas even matters. Even if they bounce it to our hand, we can simply replay it and cast some artifacts if we need to. They're in a tough spot though. They have 6 cards in hand, so obviously they have some plays, and it might be a Grist minus maybe? Green Suns for 1. Well, I can't counter it unless I sacrifice some artifacts and draw a blue card. So yeah, I figured it was going to be Veteran Explorer, and there it is. Obviously could have sacked some artifacts in response, but no need. Now we can name Caracas, which is kind of cool. Just do this. Do we name Caracas or we name Pernicious Deed? I guess Pernicious Deed is the more scary card. What got us the last game, so let's just go ahead and name it this time. Again, I have to ask myself, do I want to ramp my opponent here? They've been struggling to hit land drops, and I'm going to say no. Let's go ahead with this other Ancient Tomb. Sometimes, I swear, these lands, they stick together in packs in this deck. You've drawn one Ancient Tomb, you've drawn all your Ancient Tombs, it seems. Alright, yep, that's fine. You can do that every turn. It doesn't make a difference to me. Ball Therapy, naming Sai, and they will be able to sacrifice the Veteran Explorer. I'm gonna do this. I mean, they haven't named a card yet, obviously, but I know they know that Sai is in my hand, so I'll just go ahead and get that out of their graveyard, so that way they can't sacrifice it. The Veteran Explorer, I mean, surely they had a play lined up. They wanted to put that Veteran Explorer in their graveyard and go and get 2 lands and then play something else. So we can ask ourselves, what do we think our opponent has in their hand that costs 4 mana? Could be a lot of things. Could be Shieldred. You know, that buys them a lot of time. And we're at the finish line here. We just have to get in some more chip damage. They're on a 2-turn clock. Urza Saga's a good one. I'm not going to attack with Patchwork. Don't need to. Love to have seen a Kappa here. I think that would have just pretty much sealed the deal. Yeah, their mana was really awkward this game. Their opponent is passing the turn with 4 mana up. This is an interesting dynamic. So my opponent could be representing Orcish Bowmasters, which, you know, would not save them, obviously, unless I play this Thought Monitor. They could also just be representing the generic removal, I guess. I think I'm just going to attack first, not with the Patchwork. Red Elemental Blast. One's gonna go to 1. Likely don't have Orcish Bowmasters because they probably would have shot down a Thopter if they did. I'll go ahead and cast this now. Actually, hard cast Forcible at this point, so I'll look at their hand and see what they're working with over there. Looks like they've got a Green Sun Zenith in hand. Very interesting. It's been tanking quite a bit on these turns. Obviously, I'm editing this, so it's, you know, cutting to each action, but they are really thinking about a lot of this. Assassin's Trophy on Pernicious Deed. Yep, can't do anything about that. Oh, on the Pithing Needle anyway. So this probably means they have Pernicious Deed, I would assume. That doesn't win them the game. Doesn't save them at all. In fact, they're even more dead now because we drew Otawara, so we can bounce their Veteran Explorer if we absolutely need to, or whatever else. We can also use it to bounce our Thought Monitor, so also, you know, always consider that play as well. It's something that, you know, is always available to you. Otawara can be used offensively or defensively. Can be used as tempo. Very versatile card. Once upon a time, Otawara was printed. You know, the deck could run other utility lands or whatever the case was. When it was printed, just to raise an eyebrow when I saw people playing 2 of them because they're legendary, and I used to swear by just 1. I used to swear people were wrong, but the more I played with the card, the more I realized that I was wrong, and 2 Otawara is definitely the correct number. My opponent scoops it up. Alright, GG's. That was 8 cast versus Nick Fit.